Alright, listen up, because we're diving headfirst into the often uncomfortable truth about relationships. They are, in many ways, a game of psychological strategy. If you've ever felt like you're stumbling in the dark, confused and powerless when it comes to understanding women, that feeling can end today. You have a choice: remain blissfully ignorant, or step into the light and learn the raw, unapologetic reality of how the female mind operates, and how you can take control in ways that polite society will never tell you. Are you ready to make her obsessed, to have her chasing you instead of the other way around? Forget the generic, feel-good advice that gets you nowhere. We're talking about psychological power, the kind that runs deep and gives you the upper hand in every interaction. Let's be brutally honest, women aren't always the innocent, fragile creatures they're often portrayed to be. They have their own tactics, their own strategies, and they use them daily to get what they want. Think you're playing fair? Think again. You're in a psychological arena, and it's time to arm yourself with the knowledge that will completely flip the script. Now, some of you might be questioning whether learning these things is even right. Let me stop you there. Morality is a luxury for those who don't understand the game. Those who truly succeed make their own rules. This isn't about manipulation for its own sake, it's about staying ahead, about never being the one left wondering what went wrong. This path isn't for the faint of heart. It's for those who are done with being nice, done with playing it safe, and ready to take what they deserve. Ready or not, we're about to open the door to a world most people are too afraid to even acknowledge. Once you see it, there's no going back. So, are you still with me? Because this is just the beginning. We will explore key strategies designed to shift the power dynamic in your favor, focusing on triggering emotional responses, leveraging fears, mastering the push-pull technique, subtly undermining confidence, and understanding why emotional availability, when misapplied, can actually weaken your position. Each of these strategies will be examined with a critical eye, providing real-world examples and actionable advice to help you implement them effectively. The understanding of emotional responses, for instance, acknowledges that women primarily react to feelings rather than logic and that they use their emotions to control you without you even realizing it. Thus, it's time to flip the script, learning how to trigger their emotions first. Mastering the push-pull technique will provide the knowledge of how to create emotional tension by giving attention and then pulling away to keep a woman on edge and always thinking about you. In the same way, we will dive deeper into how women's fears of abandonment, rejection, or not being good enough are insecurities you can use to stay in control by subtly using her fears to set the pace of the relationship. The idea is not about playing nice but about playing smart. We will then explore how to subtly undermine her confidence by creating a dynamic where she values your opinion above all else and looks to you for reassurance. Finally, we will explore why emotional availability makes you weak. When you're overly expressive, women respect men who control their emotions. That creates a sense of mystery and strength that women find incredibly attractive. Triggering emotional responses, logic need not apply. Forget everything you think you know about winning a woman over with logic, reason, and well-constructed arguments. While those things might have their place in certain contexts, they are ultimately ineffective when it comes to truly captivating her mind. Women aren't wired to respond to logic in the same way that men are. What truly drives them, what truly captures their attention and holds it captive, is their emotions. If you want to be in charge, if you want to be the puppet master pulling the strings of her desire, you need to learn how to control those emotions. Stop thinking that if you just explain things clearly enough, if you just make enough sense, she'll finally get it. That's not how it works. What works is triggering her emotions, making her feel instead of think. Women are fundamentally wired to react to feelings, and that's precisely how they often control you without you even realizing it. They are masters of emotional manipulation, playing on your empathy, your guilt, your desire to please. One minute she's all sweetness and light, the next she's tearing you down over something that seems completely irrational. You're left sitting there confused, trying to decipher what just happened, while she's already seized control of the situation, emotionally speaking. But now, it's time to flip the script, to turn the tables, to become the master of emotional manipulation yourself. You need to learn how to trigger her emotions first, before she has a chance to do it to you. The first key is unpredictability. Logic breeds predictability, and predictability breeds boredom. Boredom is the enemy of obsession. You want to keep her on edge, guessing what's coming next. Logic doesn't create attraction, but unpredictability does. When you can make her feel, whether that's happiness, excitement, jealousy, or even fear, you control the dynamic. She'll keep coming back for more because emotions are addictive, and she'll start to unconsciously associate those highs and lows with you. Think of it like a drug. The initial high is exhilarating, but the inevitable crash leaves you craving another dose. The more intense the highs and lows, the more powerful the addiction becomes. The same principle applies to emotional manipulation. By creating a cycle of intense emotional experiences, you can create a psychological dependency that keeps her coming back for more. Here's a pro tip: create emotional spikes. This means intentionally pushing her buttons in ways that elicit intense feelings. One moment you're lavishing her with attention, making her feel like she's the most special woman in the world. The next, you're pulling back, becoming distant and seemingly uninterested. This back and forth creates confusion and makes her seek validation from you. It keeps her emotionally hooked because she'll never be quite sure where she stands. The constant uncertainty keeps her on edge, desperately trying to decipher your true feelings. She becomes obsessed with figuring you out, with winning your approval, with recapturing that initial high. This technique is a powerful tool for controlling a woman's mind. Here's the truth that no one wants to admit: women have an agenda. They want to control the relationship, and they often do so by keeping you emotionally invested and off balance. But when you learn to manipulate her emotions before she can manipulate yours, you've already won. Remember, emotions are the key. Logic gets you nowhere. Once you start playing with her feelings, you'll see how quickly she'll fall in line. Stop wasting your time trying to be rational and take control of the emotional battlefield, and you'll never lose again. This doesn't mean becoming a heartless monster, devoid of empathy and compassion. It simply means understanding the power of emotions and using that knowledge to your advantage. It means recognizing that relationships are often a power struggle, and that the person who can control the emotional dynamic ultimately controls the relationship. The key is to be strategic, to be deliberate, to be aware of the impact of your actions on her emotions. When you master the art of emotional manipulation, you hold the key to her heart, her mind, and her very being. Embrace the power, and never look back. This level of emotional control is essential for building a connection on your terms. It's about steering her emotional responses toward you. The unpredictability of emotions will make her keep seeking you out, because of the intense highs and lows you provide, and with the passage of time, you can control her mind. Using her fears to gain control, the harsh truth no one talks about. If you truly want to wield power over a woman, you need to tap into her deepest fears. It's the oldest trick in the book, yet it's the one that polite society avoids like the plague because it's considered too harsh, too unfeeling. But guess what? Women have fears, just like anyone else, and when you know what those fears are, you have the power to use them to your advantage. Most people shy away from this topic because it feels too dark, too manipulative. But we're not here to sugarcoat anything. This isn't about being nice or fair. It's about winning. You either control the situation, or you get controlled. There is no middle ground. Here's the uncomfortable reality: women's fears run deeper than you can imagine. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, these aren't just fleeting insecurities, they're fundamental weaknesses that you can exploit to stay in control. Once you discover what she's truly afraid of, you can use that knowledge to make her emotionally and mentally dependent on you. Let's take a look at a fictional example, the character of Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey. Whether you love the books or hate them, there's no denying that Christian Grey is a master manipulator, and a key part of his strategy is playing on Anastasia Steele's fears. Anastasia is constantly living in fear of losing him. Why? Because he masterfully plays into her fear of abandonment. He pulls her in close, showering her with attention and affection, then abruptly pushes her away, making her fear that she'll never be enough for him. It's not just his wealth or his looks that keep her coming back, it's the emotional roller coaster he puts her through. She's always on edge, wondering if he'll stay or go, and that fear makes her cling to him even more desperately. That's how you gain control, by making her feel like losing you is the worst thing that could possibly happen to her. Now, am I saying you should go out there and terrorize women, turning their lives into a living hell? Absolutely not. What I am saying is that you need to understand what motivates her behavior, and fear is a huge part of that motivation. When you subtly, strategically use her fears, you're the one who sets the pace of the relationship. You dictate the terms. Maybe she's afraid of being alone, of ending up old and lonely with no one to care for her. Or maybe it's the fear of being replaced, of being discarded for a younger, prettier model. Whatever it is, once you identify that fear, you've got leverage. This isn't about being overtly cruel or abusive. It's about subtly reinforcing those fears in a way that keeps her on edge and seeking your approval. For example, if she's afraid of being alone, you might casually mention how many women are constantly throwing themselves at you, how difficult it is to choose between them all. This will subtly remind her that you're a desirable commodity and that she needs to work to keep your attention. Or, if she's afraid of being replaced, you might occasionally flirt with other women in her presence, just enough to make her feel insecure and remind her that she's not the only one in your life. These tactics might seem harsh, but they're incredibly effective at keeping a woman emotionally invested and dependent on you. Bottom line, learn to identify her fears, and you'll have a level of control she won't even see coming. Don't waste your time trying to be the nice guy. You need to play smart, and sometimes, playing smart means playing a little dirty. Fear is a powerful tool, and when used correctly, it keeps her right where you want her, under your control. The idea here is to understand motivations, not to terrorize women. Once you're aware of those emotions, it is easier to keep control in the relationship. Mastering the push-pull technique to keep her hooked, the art of emotional tension. If you want to keep a woman constantly on edge, perpetually thinking about you, there's one technique that works like magic, the push-pull technique. It's deceptively simple, yet incredibly powerful in its ability to manipulate emotions and create a psychological dependency. The core principle is straightforward: you give her attention, then you pull away. You make her feel special, then you suddenly go cold. This constant back and forth creates emotional tension, and trust me, emotional tension is addictive. She'll keep coming back for more because you've created a psychological need for your validation. Let's not beat around the bush, women thrive on emotional highs and lows. Too much attention, and she gets bored, feeling secure and unchallenged. Too little attention, and she feels neglected, questioning her worth and your interest. But if you expertly mix both, creating a carefully calibrated push-pull dynamic, she'll never be able to predict what's coming next, and that unpredictability is precisely what keeps her hooked. The push-pull technique works by creating this perfect balance of giving and withholding, keeping her emotionally invested without even realizing what's happening. She'll spend more time wondering what you're thinking, dissecting your every word and action, instead of focusing on her own wants and needs. You become the center of her universe, the object of her constant attention. If you want a real-life example of the push-pull technique in action, look no further than the infamous, endlessly analyzed relationship between Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. This on-again, off-again romance was a media spectacle for years, and guess what kept it in the spotlight? The constant push and pull between the two. Justin would shower Selena with attention, publicly expressing his undying love, and they'd seem inseparable, the picture of young Hollywood romance. That's the push. Then, without warning, he'd pull away, get involved with someone else, or leave her hanging in emotional limbo, fueling speculation and gossip. That's the pull. This wasn't just trivial celebrity gossip, it was a masterclass in how the push-pull dynamic keeps someone emotionally entangled, even long after the relationship has soured. Selena herself has spoken about the emotional turmoil she experienced during that time, saying it was hard to move on because there was always this lingering sense of, what if, this hope that they could somehow recapture the magic they once shared. That's the insidious magic of the push-pull technique, it creates uncertainty, a never-ending cycle of hope and doubt. She was constantly trying to figure out where she stood, desperately seeking validation, and that emotional confusion kept her attached long after the relationship should have ended. The push-pull technique created a psychological loop where, no matter what, the connection wasn't fully severed, always leaving the door open for a potential reconciliation. Here's how you can effectively use this technique in your own life. First, start with the push. Give her attention, make her feel like she's the center of your world. Compliment her, take her out on thoughtful dates, make her feel special and appreciated. Let her know that you value her presence in your life. Then, just when she's at the peak of feeling good, comfortable and secure in your affections, pull back. Be distant, don't reply to her texts as quickly as you used to, act busy and preoccupied. This sudden change in behavior will throw her off, creating a sense of unease and insecurity. She'll start chasing that high again, wondering why you've pulled away and trying to get your attention back. That's the emotional tension you need to maintain control. The most important part, never let her feel too secure. As soon as she feels like she's figured you out, like she has you completely pegged, she'll lose interest. Women don't want predictable, they crave excitement, even if it's emotionally confusing. That's why the push-pull technique works so well, it creates a cycle of emotional highs and lows that keeps her perpetually invested in you. Bottom line, don't be the guy who's always there, always easy to read, always eager to please. Be the one who keeps her guessing, who keeps her emotionally off balance. That's how you keep her coming back for more, begging for your attention, desperate for your validation. The push-pull technique keeps someone emotionally entangled, even long after the relationship has soured. The aim is to have the woman dancing to your tune through your control of the rhythm. How to subtly undermine her confidence, the strategic edge. Guys, wake up. You've been doing it wrong for years, and that's why you're constantly losing. Women aren't looking for pushovers, for guys who will shower them with endless compliments and treat them like delicate porcelain dolls. They're looking for men who can subtly undermine their confidence, just enough to keep them wanting more, to keep them striving for their approval. I'm not talking about outright disrespect or blatant cruelty. That's the territory of abusers, and it's not what we're about here. I'm talking about subtle psychological tactics that make her doubt herself, that keep her seeking your validation, that position you as the ultimate judge of her worth. You see, women are constantly bombarded with attention and compliments from men trying to win them over. It's a never-ending stream of validation, and it quickly becomes meaningless. But what happens when you're the one who isn't falling all over her, who isn't readily offering praise and admiration? She starts to question herself, to wonder what she's doing wrong, and that's when you have the upper hand. It's not about being mean, it's about being strategic. The idea is to challenge women. Let's take another look at a fictional example, the character of Chuck Bass in Gossip Girl. He's not the typical, nice guy. He's arrogant, manipulative, and unapologetically himself. And he knows exactly how to get under Blair Waldorf's skin, making her feel both intensely desired and profoundly insecure at the same time. He'll compliment her one moment, praising her beauty and intelligence, and then subtly criticize her the next, questioning her choices or undermining her ambitions. This isn't just shallow television drama, it's a tactic that works in real life because it keeps women on their toes. When you subtly undermine her confidence, you make her dependent on your validation. She'll start seeking your approval, wondering what she can do to make you happy, to finally earn your unwavering admiration. This isn't about tearing her down, about making her feel worthless. It's about creating a dynamic where she values your opinion above all else, where she sees you as the ultimate arbiter of her worth. When she doubts herself, when she feels insecure, she'll look to you for reassurance, and that's where your control comes in. Here's how you do it effectively. Start with a compliment, something genuine that makes her feel good about herself. Acknowledge her strengths, praise her accomplishments, and let her know that you appreciate her unique qualities. But then, follow it up with a subtle critique, a carefully worded observation that plants a seed of doubt in her mind. For example, tell her she looks beautiful, but that her outfit might not be the best choice for the occasion, suggesting that it's not quite appropriate for the setting. This creates a subtle push-pull dynamic within a single interaction. She feels good, but then starts to doubt herself, to question her judgment, and that doubt makes her seek your approval even more desperately. Another tactic is to show interest and then pull back, mimicking the push-pull technique we discussed earlier. Give her your attention, make her feel special, and then suddenly become distant, acting preoccupied or uninterested. She'll start to wonder what she did wrong, to obsess over what she said or did that might have caused you to lose interest, and will try to win back your attention, to recapture that initial spark. This creates a dynamic where she's constantly trying to prove herself to you, to demonstrate her worth, which keeps her emotionally invested and firmly under your control. Let's not forget the importance of maintaining mystery. Women are naturally attracted to men who are hard to read, who don't lay all their cards on the table, who keep them guessing about their true feelings and intentions. Keep her guessing about how you feel, what you're thinking, and what your next move will be. When she's uncertain, she's intrigued, and that intrigue keeps her coming back for more. Remember, the goal isn't to break her spirit, to crush her self-esteem, but to create a dynamic where she values your opinion and seeks your validation above all else. When you subtly undermine her confidence, you position yourself as the one she looks to for reassurance, the one whose approval she craves, and that gives you immense control in the relationship, ensuring that she remains emotionally invested in you. With this tactic, the aim is to position yourself, not to break her spirit, so she goes to you for reassurance, which gives control in the relationship, and the dynamic makes her value you for a long time. Why emotional availability makes you weak, the uncomfortable truth about masculinity. Guys, it's time to face a harsh reality, a truth that society has been actively trying to suppress for decades. Excessive emotional availability makes you weak in the eyes of women. You've been fed lies by society, told to be open, to share your feelings, to be vulnerable, to wear your heart on your sleeve. But the truth is, women don't respect men who are overly emotional, who crumble under pressure, who wear their hearts on their sleeves. They respect men who are in control of their emotions, who don't crumble under pressure, and who maintain a sense of mystery, a sense of inner strength. When you're too emotionally available, when you readily share your deepest fears and insecurities, you become predictable and, frankly, boring. Women aren't attracted to men who are always there, always sharing, always open. They crave the excitement of the unknown, the challenge of figuring you out, the satisfaction of finally cracking your tough exterior. When you're an open book, there's nothing left to discover, and that kills attraction faster than anything else. Think about James Bond, the quintessential alpha male. He's the epitome of masculine mystery and emotional control. Bond doesn't sit down and pour his heart out to anyone. He keeps his emotions in check, revealing only what he wants you to see, and that makes him irresistible to women. They want to be the one to crack his tough exterior, to be the one who sees his vulnerable side, to prove that they can reach the real man beneath the carefully constructed facade. But if he were to open up too easily, if he were to readily share his deepest fears and insecurities, he would lose that allure, that mystique that makes him so captivating. Here's the reality: women are emotional creatures, and they need a rock to anchor them, someone who can provide stability and strength in the face of their emotional storms. If you're constantly sharing your feelings, constantly seeking reassurance, constantly being vulnerable, you become another emotional burden for them to carry, another source of stress in their already complicated lives. Instead, you need to be the one who can handle her emotions while keeping yours in check, the one who can provide a safe harbor in the midst of the storm. This doesn't mean you should be a heartless robot, devoid of all emotion. It simply means you need to be selective about when and how you share your feelings. Be strategic with your emotional availability, revealing only what you want her to see, and only when it serves your purpose. Share enough to show that you're human, that you're capable of feeling, but never lay all your cards on the table, never reveal your deepest insecurities. Keep her guessing about what you're truly thinking and feeling, maintaining that sense of mystery that makes you so captivating. This creates an emotional tension that keeps her interested and engaged, constantly trying to decipher your true feelings. When you do share your emotions, do it in a way that shows strength, not weakness. Share experiences that demonstrate your resilience, your ability to overcome challenges, and your control over your own life. This positions you as a strong, capable man who can handle anything, including her emotions. Remember, emotional availability is not the same as emotional intelligence. You need to understand and manage your own emotions without being overly expressive, to show empathy and be a good listener without becoming an emotional sponge. Be a source of strength and stability, not another burden to carry. Keep your inner world private, revealing only what you want her to see, and you'll create a sense of mystery and strength that women find incredibly attractive. So there you have it, the unfiltered truth about how to take control in relationships. It's not about being manipulative or cruel, it's about understanding the dynamics at play and using them to your advantage. Remember, relationships are often a game of psychological power, and those who know how to play will always come out on top. It's key to maintain a balance, showing empathy and being a good listener without becoming an emotional sponge. Ultimately, the insights shared provide an understanding of how relationships work and how you can come out on top. In these dynamics, it is important to use the tools with great responsibilities, which may bring a more successful relationship. Knowledge is power. It is important to stay sharp, stay strategic and take control of your life and relationships.